Welcome back. Well, back at the cabin, just tying up a few loose ends from the last episode. So let's go check on my maple tree there and see how much sap we've got. And I want to do a little bit of a few repairs before I head out. It's just a quick trip here to the cabin. Man, is it ever a lovely day out here. It is gorgeous, nice and sunny out. Just take a look at the propane tank there. It is almost completely melted out. Last week it was right up to the top with snow. Let me see if I can grab it out of here. Oh, it's sort of frozen down. So I'll have to use a little green propane tank if I want to make some tea. So I want to work on repairing my 2-burner propane stove. It is really handy out here. And in last week's episode, you guys saw how it was, the O-ring in there was a hot mess. I know some of you liked that comment. So I got a couple O-rings. I'm going to try them out and hopefully that solves the problem of the propane leak. And after that, let's probably head out in the woods and I'm going to have an MRE. It's lunchtime and just chat about the state of the world right now. We'll take a look over here. There's the Christmas tree from the Christmas episode. I guess I just put it by the door here and then the snow went on top of it. It's under a foot of snow last week. And there's a couple of my metal pails. So there's my sled that I bring stuff in with. And I wanted to show you guys, I finally got a harness to wear on my back to kind of carry it in, if I'm not using the snowmobile. So that's pretty cool. If you look down here though, it looks like this is kind of ripped through. So that's not good. I've never seen that before. This is pretty old, the way I've set this up for years now, but that looks like it's torn right through with the cable there. So I'll have to make some adjustments. And yeah, so this harness, it's got a couple little rings here. You wear it like, it's like a backpack harness basically. Goes on your back and then these things go around either side of a waist belt. So that's super handy to bring that in. I'll use it to go grab the sap buckets here and bring them back. It's pretty cool today. It's about -7 degrees here at the cabin. But that sun makes it feel oh so much warmer, which is really nice. The woods are lovely. Gotta watch because some stumps are actually unthawed a little bit. I don't want to trip and fall. Let's take a look at the tree here. So there's my little setup. Just into the 5-gallon pails. I'd actually buried these in snow as well to keep the sap nice and refrigerated until I could get back. So you can see both of them, they were buried to the top with snow and it's been a pretty warm time here at the cabin, obviously, in the last week. There's the cabin right there, pretty close. So let's take a look inside and see what we see. Looks like here in the line, sap is frozen. So I'll probably run later in the week. Last week was a great week to start. Whoa, that's right to the top. Excellent. Super. Let's take a look at this one. This one's not on the sunny side of the tree. Well, one of the taps is, so let's take a look. You can tap all sides of a tree. Of course, the south-facing side gets the most warmth and sun, so it tends to run, I find, a lot better. And it'd be about, okay, half a pail. That's okay. So I'll probably get maybe 3/4 of a liter of maple syrup out of this. Everything's kind of frozen right now, so I'll have to disconnect them and let them thaw, and then I'm going to boil it down. It is tricky living some distance from the cabin and trying to run just a small amount of taps even for maple syrup production. I'd really have to live on site to make it reasonable. I have looked into in the last little while or so a wood-fired evaporator, and you can get those from CDL or your local maple supplier. So I have looked at that. There's some that can do up to 25 taps, some up to like 50 to 100. So, and they're wood fired, and it'd be really cool to have something like that set up here and have a little sugar shack and actually run an operation. But I'm not really sure how to do that if I'm not here full time. As it is, I had to drive quite a distance to get here, and there's quite a bit of work to be done, even though there's a small amount of sap there. Quite often I'm boiling for many hours just to get, a liter of syrup. I don't have any reverse osmosis or other really cool setups to make get rid of the water part of the whole equation. So it is a bit challenging. One day I'd just love to have a maple operation sort of set up here. I think that'd be kind of cool, but I got to keep dreaming for now. And like I said earlier in the past video, I want to try to get access up to the sugar bush that is a bit of a distance from here. So I have to kind of cut a trail to get in there. Okay, I've got it all set up and ready to go for the next batch. I transferred the sap once the top part actually was just a little bit iced over, maybe about 1/4 of an inch or something. I thought the whole thing was frozen. It wasn't. So I dumped them out into separate pails, and I've got these ones ready and hooked up to go for another round. You guys will have to stay tuned to see how I do the maple syrup, and maybe I'll make an interesting maple product this year. What would you like to see me make? Just gonna head over to the shed. The last time I told you folks is that I could barely get this door open. It was a bit of a pain. Had to pry it open. It's like that frame almost shifted. So I'm gonna just give her a try. See how it goes. Tends to fluctuate obviously with the moisture in the environment and ice and all that stuff. This was like, there was so much ice up against this door, and so I chipped a bunch of that away. It literally snuck in like a 6-inch crack in the door. Well, probably more than that, but let's see what we can do. Ooh, hey, it works. Good stuff. Yeah, up there it was really tight, like right in the middle. Last time I was here, it's brutal. So I was just like squeaking through the door, and it was about like literally that wide. I had to suck it in. Anyway, that's much better to try to get in there. It looks like I've got a bit of tidying to do before spring. This thermometer has been broken for quite some time. Just going to take it off here. Oop, that way. There we go. I have its identical replacement, so that's just going to go right there. Yeah, the holes line up exactly. No changes in the manufacturing of this. So looks like it's about 5 degrees out. That's awesome. Back in business, it looks like it's about 5 degrees out. Well, my next job is this right here. So here's the piece that goes into the unit and attaches to my little propane tank here. What I need to do, and I'll just show you here in this little plastic bag, is I've got a couple of O-rings to try out here. You can see them right there. That goes on this little tip right here. So let's put that on, and I'm going to connect it up and see how it works. See here, I'm going to just put it over the, oh, perfect fit. As you can see, it is a perfect fit. Excellent. First try. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, that's working okay. Well, that's heating up for some hot water for our little adventure in the woods there. I want to show you, I bought a little rack here, a little shelving unit. I want to put it above the Martin heater, right up here somewhere, just to dry socks and mittens and stuff like that. Because quite often I find that that's what's lacking, is a nice drying rack. So I picked this up on the way in, and I think it's going to work. It's a 2 feet long shelf, and it's got little arms there, so that'll be great. I don't want to put it too close because I don't want this coating to melt, but I'll put it up high enough, and then I can have some nice dry socks after a hike in the woods. Last time I was checking on the trail cams, I realized I didn't have any cards with me, and I turned them off because I was out of cards. I'd brought them back to town to download them onto my computer. So I brought some brand new, well, not brand new, they're older cards, but they're formatted because in a month we usually get the moose coming through the property. So they actually come in from their wintering grounds, the back of the property, and sort of walk through some of the logging roads. So pretty exciting. I usually catch them every year around, I'd say the last week in April, first week of May. Sometimes it's a female with a young one. Sometimes it's just mostly females basically kind of coming through. So I'm pretty excited. I want to make sure my camera's in tip-top shape to get the photos this year. Little chickadees are crowding around me, telling me to put some seeds out. It seems like they recognize me. Every time I'm here, they harass me for more seeds, and they get all worked up. Flying over there right now, just making a scene. I put out a ton of seeds for them over the winter, and they're really happy with that. They cache them all on the bark, in these trees, so you'll see them kind of going along looking for them when they're hungry. Alrighty. Here we go, little browning. Just gotta stick this up under here. 16 gigs, that should last me some time. $84 in the battery, and you can see my face right in there. All right, that should be good. Let's make sure this is adjusted properly. Kind of looking that way, and they usually come up this way. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of maintenance too on that tree that's fallen down, but they'll usually, yeah, they have no problem. They kind of walk in through here or up this way. I'm sure we'll get some good pictures. Well, looks like water's boiled. Let's go out in the woods and have some lunch. Well, after lunch, I'm going to use this animal lure here, and I'm going to put it near the martin nest box. I want to see if I can attract them in. This stuff smells horrendous. You do not want to touch this before you eat, in case you spill it on yourself. So I'm going to have my lunch first, and I don't want to lose my appetite. So stuff smells really skunky. Eek. So let's do that after lunch. All right, well, I found a nice log here in the woods, and I'm going to use one of my MREs by MRE Star. It's the Menu 1 beef stew. So I don't know if you guys have tried the MRE Star MREs. They're quite good, and there's lots of calories in them. I think there's like 1,200 to 1,300 calories in each one of these little babies. So, you know, it's the world, we're experiencing some very strange times nowadays with this outbreak that's going on. And I don't know, maybe some of you guys have MREs at home that you may have to resort to when you guys are under quarantine. So let me try this, see what it's like. I haven't had the beef stew one yet. I bought a kit a long time ago that had all the different flavors in it. Seal is really good. All right, let's see what's inside. All right, looks like we've got some crackers, drink mix, nut and raisin mix, oatmeal cookies, and here's the beef stew, and the bag to heat it all up in. And of course there's candy and some coffee and a spoon. Looks like the coffee's kind of popped open in here, so the spoon's a little bit dirty. But anyway, so that's what's in there. Let's get started. Alrighty, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and added a bit of water, like 2 ounces to this little pouch they give you. This causes a reaction, it produces heat. You can see the steam kind of coming out of it. So what I want to do next, I want to put the beef stew in there to warm it up. This is great. You don't like have to have a fire or hydro or anything. So this goes in here. And then you kind of fold it up and you stick it back in the box here to get it warm. And then I think we'll leave it for about 15 minutes. Look, it's bubbling in there. You guys can see that. Pretty crazy. So anyway, we're gonna stick it back in here to kind of keep it nice and warm, and we'll get back to it in about 15 minutes. While we wait for that, I'm going to get the coffee ready. I've got the hot water now in my thermos. I've opened up the pouch there. It's got salt and pepper and looks like sugar, coffee creamer, moist towelette. Those are in high commodity these days, eh? All the toilet paper shortages. Ugh. I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but it's getting pretty cutthroat around the world. You know, people are going a little bit crazy with this pandemic, you know, hoarding toilet paper and Lysol wipes and trying to sell things on the black market. You know, I think that's crazy. I personally am not hoarding. I don't really have anything extra than I normally have around the house, except I bought an extra bag of flour. I know I consider myself pretty well prepared for a lot of different situations, and sort of been a lifetime of preparation, not just like panic mode preparation. And also now's the time too to think sort of outside the box. You know, there's lots of things instead of toilet paper, you know, that we can use to clean ourselves. You know, it's really not a gastro thing, so I don't know why everyone's really hoarding up. There's lots of, lots of different options out there, especially if you're an outdoors person, you know, all the different kinds of things you can use, in the woods in lieu of toilet paper. So, I don't know, maybe now's the time, if you are quarantined or, maybe you are, practicing social distancing, which I think we all should do, to kind of flatten the curve and lessen the stress, on our healthcare system and keep the most vulnerable protected. But I think this is a time maybe to do a little research, do a little education, maybe learn about just generalized preparedness, because this might not be the first thing that we experience in our lifetimes. So just generally having a lot of overall skills and knowledge. Now's the time if you're going to be home. There's lots of stuff on the internet that you can look up, or reading books. So I found out why the coffee was all over the provided spoon. It was just because the bottom had kind of come apart. So I don't know, this coffee's probably going to taste fairly stale, but that's okay. Let's give this a whirl. All right, that looks pretty good. Pretty decent there with the creamer and the sugar. Let's give it a try. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I had no faith that was going to taste decent at all. It's even the perfect ratio of cream to sugar in here with the little pouches they provided. So cheers, everybody. This is actually not bad. Oh, it's so nice just sitting in the sun here, enjoying this while the food boils away over there. That little heater is working really well. It just sounds like I'm boiling something on the stove over there. Just 2 ounces of water. So you really don't have to use a lot of your ration of water to heat up one of these little MREs. So that's another thing to think about too. When there are shortages and stuff like that, you're aware of everything, every little drop of water, every bit of food that goes in your body. So kits like these that don't require a ton of water other than obviously for your drink, and the 2 ounces to heat up the MRE, just for your taste. I mean, certainly probably don't have to even heat it through. It's completely cooked. So, but it is just nice to have a nice hot meal, especially if you're out here in the woods hiking around. And if you don't want something hot to drink, this does come with pink lemonade flavored drink mix. So, if it's summertime or, just later in the day, you want something to drink and you have extra water with you, that's pretty handy. Right now I'm just having the coffee because it's nice and cool outside and I want to warm up. So next up, I have opened up the nut mix here and raisin mix. So there's raisins, peanuts, looks like a bit of almonds in here, and sunflower seeds. Looks really fresh considering this MRE is quite old. A lot of these MREs from MRE Star last a really long time, and they're still nice and fresh. Let's give it a try. Yep, that's really fresh. Nuts and seeds definitely give you a lot of calories. So, if you are preparing for, what hits the fan situation, making sure you have lots of calories, not a lot of empty calories either. You want good fats and protein in your diet, and of course fiber as well. So this is perfect. And it's a good little pouch of it too. We've also got oatmeal cookies to try a little bit later with dessert, and I've got some bread, bread product, which is basically the crackers, to use in the MRE itself once the beef stew is done cooking. Alrighty, so this is almost done. It's nice and hot. So let's take a look at the particulars here on the beef stew. It looks like we've got water, ground beef, tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, starch, green peas, tomato paste, celery salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and thyme. So it looks really tasty. We've got about 240 calories just in this part of the meal alone. Good bit of vitamins in there, including iron and vitamin A, and good bit of sodium, but not too bad, and quite a bit of fat. So that's going to give you a good deal of calories there. Let's check it out. And here we go. Ooh, that's hot. Be really careful with these. That's what I found about the last one I had of the MRE Star, was that they get really, really, really hot. Yeah, mix this up a little bit. It gets really hot at the bottom, but you got to heat the top too. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. The top is a little bit cool. What I do want to get open are these crackers, because I think feels pretty soupy, this stew, so I'm going to want to sop it up with something. So this is nice and fresh. You could hear the vacuum seal actually when I opened up. It was like whoosh. So these crackers are pretty fresh and crispy, which is good. Oh yeah, nice and crispy. Pop that down there. All right, that's good enough. Pop this out of here. beside me for a second. Put that in there so I don't end up spilling it on myself. So really important to kind of squish it down from the tearing point. You don't want scalding hot food to land on your skin or your lap. So push it down as best as you can and then tear it kind of away from you. Use a knife. There we go. Alrighty. Doesn't look that appetizing. Let's take a look. Smells good though. Show you guys. I don't know if you can see down in there, but doesn't look that great, but the smell is awesome. I'm gonna put that on some crackers. It is fairly liquidy. I'm gonna put crackers in here and then I'll kind of poke them down in there and get out some stew. All right, let's give it a try. See the little potatoes and the chunks of beef. Oh wow, that is really good. Kind of reminds me of Chef Boyardee, to be honest, the way the tomato tastes in there. Have you ever had Chef Boyardee? Used to have that a lot when I was a kid. There's actual peas in here and potatoes. Looks recognizable, let's put it that way. Oh yeah, I'd have this again, that's good. Try the crackers. Yeah, the crackers are nice and crispy. So, yeah, this is really good. I highly recommend these MRE Star meals. They're actually tasty and lots of different flavors out there and vegetarian ones too. I think they have gluten-free ones too, I'm not sure. But decent portions and good amount of calories too. I'll finish this up and we'll have some dessert. Okay, well, the last thing I have left to test is the oatmeal cookies, and it seems like there's 4 in here, so that's like a generous amount of cookies, I'd say. There you go. Just like the last MRE that they had, I think oatmeal cookies is pretty popular for their meals. Very tasty, very crispy, really fresh. So I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this, and then I'm gonna head off and do a few things that I have left to do in the woods. So let's finish this up and get to it. Well, after lunch here, I just flew my drone a little bit, and man, that was lots of fun. I'm really liking my drone. It's actually working quite well, even though it is rather cold out. It will tell you if it's too cold to operate and tells you to come back to, you know, the main launching pad, basically, if it detects an issue. So I've been really enjoying it. Just now I used it to take a peek on the roof there and take a look at the solar panels, and they're looking great. So the battery has been recharged and we'll get it set back up soon on the panels. I want to just make sure the controller is okay as well. Because the other thing that may have depleted the battery is the controller takes a little bit of juice from the battery as well. And if that was running while the solar panels were covered, certainly that could deplete the battery and then it wasn't recharging. So anyway, that's good news. Another good application actually for this drone is to check roofs and things like that. It's a DJI Mavic Mini and it's 249 grams. So I did a review on it earlier on my channel if you guys want to check that out, but I have not been disappointed. I've had it for a few months now, and as you guys know, I've run it in the winter time. Sometimes when it's really cold, I only have a little bit of time up in the air with it, but in a day like today, the sun's nice and warm and it's probably about -1 right now, it's actually performing quite well. The only thing I'm noticing is just a little bit of battery reduction, but that's typical when things are really cold out. So I guess I should tell you what kind of things I'm hearing in the woods right now. Basically, the red-winged blackbirds have come back in the last week. I was just started hearing them a little bit when I left here the last time, and now like they're everywhere. The geese are back, and I can hear the kestrels as well as other birds of prey. Crows are, you know, cawing all over the place, ravens, blue jays, and the chickadees. So this is pretty exciting. Everything's kind of coming back. Things are waking up. Spring's coming up in the next week, so that's pretty exciting. So it's so nice to hear the sounds of the woods once more. All right, I'm at the martin nesting box. And I've got the Cavan's tree climber lure. So I'm going to put a little bit around here just to see if I can attract them in a little bit more. I'm actually going to put some lure too by the trail cam, see if I get anything interesting. Alrighty, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. I don't want to get this spilled on anything. Ugh. Wish you guys had smell-o-vision. This is yucky. Smells rather skunky, although it's not as strong as I thought it would be. So I'm going to use a stick just to kind of go in here. It's kind of the consistency of it, and I'm going to sort of smear it on the bark down here by the tree. So I've just smeared it up a little bit higher. I'm going to put it a bit lower too, just to kind of, I don't know, get them interested on this level too. I mean, it doesn't smell as strong as I kind of thought it would, but still it's pretty bad. I don't know how much to use here, but put enough. All right, so I've kind of put some up along the bark here to kind of lure them in, and maybe they'll take a look up in there, see what's going on. Now I'm going to take this stuff and I'm going to go put it down by the trail cam. We get a lot of foxes and fish around here, so I'll see too. This is also is a lure for them as well, so we'll see what they will do when I put it on the ground or on some little posts up here. Maybe I'll put some on this tree here. I definitely see them coming in from this way. And they tend to walk right up towards my trail cam, which is right there, kind of in the center of your screen. Thank goodness this stuff isn't runny, because if I dump this over, ugh. Oh yeah, there's a hunk. Whew, skunky. Let's stick that right here. Someone's gonna love the smell of that. Them to stop and sniff at these little posts here long enough to get their picture taken. That'd be kind of cool. I'll put some over here too. Put some over here too. There, yeah, perfect. Just in line with the trail cam. Also gonna stick a glob of it on the stick in the snow over here. A little bit closer too. Maybe they'll, yeah, so there's the cam right there. Stick this down here. Maybe they'll stop and smell it. Perfect spot to get their picture taken. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's little episode, just getting you caught up on some things I'm fixing up around the cabin and just testing out that MRE for lunch. Well, I hope everyone's doing well. Stay safe, practice social distancing, and hey, watch more of my channel if you're bored and want to learn a little bit more about the outdoors. I've got lots of content for you. So we're all in this together, guys. Hang in there. We'll get through it. Have a wonderful week as always. Take care.